The Rebirth Island updates that came to Season 2 Reloaded has meant that a lot of players are jumping into Rebirth Reinforced on top of the huge player base that was already loving it. I'm not surprised, it's a lot of fun right now, as it always is. But since the player count on Rebirth has gone through the roof, it means that skill-based matchmaking has been cranked to the max, and most games are an absolute sweatfest, making every game quite difficult. That's why in this video I'm going to talk about a subtle change you can make to your loadout that can make a huge difference in-game. We're talking about the best perks to run in Rebirth Island. A lot of people actually just run the same perks as they do in Caldera on Rebirth Island. Now to me that doesn't make a lot of sense, as you end up in almost completely different situations for the majority of the game. Then on top of that, we've had recent perk changes, making your choice of perks even more important. Let's start with perk 1 and with one of the most popular options, and that's EOD. EOD is quite rightly popular as it does reduce explosive damage quite a lot, and on Caldera that can be very useful. And after the update to the perks, EOD actually got even better. It now has a damage cap at 200 rather than 80, and it has an overall damage reduction from 35% all the way up to 45%, essentially meaning you're even less likely to die from explosive damage than you previously were. However, despite EOD being brilliant, in Rebirth Island, in my mind, there's only one perk you should be running as your perk 1, and that's Quick Fix. This has become the biggest clutch perk I've ever seen, and it's actually loads of fun to use as well. Quick Fix was already pretty amazing, because every time you got a full elimination on someone, your health regenerated to max very quickly, giving you the ability to bounce back into gunfights that little bit quicker. With the updates to the perks though, Quick Fix did get a little tweak, which made it even better, as you now start to get health regeneration when you start armoring up, as well as when you get the full elimination. This makes Quick Fix feel supercharged, giving you the ability to gain huge amounts of health and armor back in a matter of seconds, getting you ready for another gunfight, and another, and another, and another, and so on. This ultimately means when you're up against a squad or you're outnumbered, your clutch factor just went through the roof. So Quick Fix is in the bag as our perk 1. Now let's talk about perk 2. The classic perk 2 option of Ghost still has its uses, however that usefulness has been seriously reduced on Rebirth Island, especially since the perk updates. So Ghost no longer keeps you off the minimap if you're static and not moving around, so already there's quite a big weakness. Then of course on Rebirth, when your teammate dies, your opponent does get a ping on their minimap of your location, whether you have Ghost or not. So I would recommend we look elsewhere for our perk 2. The obvious choice here is Overkill. Giving yourself 2 primary weapons is a great option, but sometimes you may want to grab just one weapon and choose another overpowered perk as your perk 2, or you may want to choose a different perk 2 simply because you found some great ground loot or somebody else's loadout. So let's have a look at some alternative perk 2 options, and we'll start with Restock. Restock I know is already a very popular option, especially since the perk update means that you actually recharge that equipment in 25 seconds. So if you run stuns or flashes and semtexes, Restock makes you a very dangerous opponent. But if you run either a heartbeat or stims and throwing knives, this really isn't worth it for you. The updated and reduced recharge time that I mentioned to 25 seconds actually doesn't apply to stims, these are still capped at 60 seconds. And because stims are so popular these days, you actually find them everywhere on the floor, giving you plenty of chance to just pick them up that way. And it's a similar story with throwing knives. Because you're going to be killing people with them, you can just pick up your throwing knife straight back off their body. So for me, Restock can be useful for some, but not as quite useful as Tempered. Tempered enables you to put 2 armor plates on instead of 3 to get max armor. This saves you a little bit of time, which often is the difference between life and death. If you're up against more than one player and there's a squad you're trying to take out, by downing 1 or 2 then dipping out to armor up with Tempered on, you can actually reset yourself and the gunfight faster than your opponent, meaning you can re-challenge them whilst they're unprepared. These are fine margins, but for squad wiping, Tempered is absolutely amazing. It simplifies so many of your gunfights and saves you time, and for that reason I have to recommend it as your perk 2. So let's finally check out perk 3, and really there are 2 main options, those being Amped and Combat Scout. For most people, Amped is the go-to option and they rarely think about it. We know it's great for swapping weapons, putting armor on, and throwing equipment that little bit faster, and therefore can be pretty perfect for aggressive players on Rebirth Island. I can't be against anyone using Amped as the perk 3, however I've got to recommend Combat Scout and I'm about to tell you why. So obviously, Combat Scout does give you a live ping when you damage an enemy, and most importantly, gives you intel on whether that enemy is going to re-challenge or not, making it safe for you to push or stand back and get ready for them to re-challenge. Combat Scout is all about intel, and that is so often the clutch factor on Rebirth Island, and you'll find the benefits come a lot more frequently than they do with Amped. Although the quicker armor replating can be particularly missed when you're not using Amped, by using Quick Fix and Tempered like we have, you hardly notice it. So putting all of these 3 perks together, this can put you in total control of gunfights, and gives you the ability to get out of and actively conquer very tricky situations where you're outnumbered. Being able to regenerate health when you get an elimination, or just start plating up, and then get max armor with just 2 plates, enables you to get back into the fight insanely quickly compared to alternative perk choices. Mix that with Combat Scout, which gives you that intel on whether it's safe to plate up, or you need to dodge out or get ready for them to re-challenge, or just simply chase them, and you are going to be ready to absolutely kill it in Rebirth Island. I hope this video helps you out when you're smacking into Rebirth, and if you want to unlock your potential even more on Rebirth Island, be sure to check this video out where I go over the best settings specifically for Rebirth Island. See ya!